Hey guys, Pat Ryerke here, also known as the Patriarchy. All hail the Patriarchy, well into 2017. An open letter to gay white men. No, you're not allowed to have a racial preference. You may want to take my words to heart if you'd like to live up to those progressive memes you share on Facebook all the time. Okay, so before we get into this, let me just break this down a little bit. We'll go into the article and then I'll unpack it. Basically, this is an article written by a gay black man who shames white gay men who will not date him, or black men in general. He's saying that if you do not date black men or Asian men as a gay white man, you are racist. Now, he claims he's not calling everyone a racist, but he pretty much calls everyone racist throughout this article. And his argument in this article is because you have a cognitive bias towards your own race as a white gay man. And by not dating black men or Asian men, by having a sexual preference to not like black or Asian men, and just not be attracted to them in general, you're just not a fan. Now, I don't have that issue. I'm attracted to black women. Not black men, obviously, but I like women and so on. But the argument is basically if you don't, you're racist. And then he goes on to say that if Asian men and black men only date black men and Asian men, they are not racist because they do not benefit from a systemic hierarchy that puts white people above Asians and black men. So he's saying you're only racist if you date white guys and you're white, but anyone else is not racist because they don't benefit from it. Now, I know none of that makes sense because it's stupid, and it is. Also, he kind of makes some weird argument for conversion therapy. It's almost like he's saying, hey, I can change the gay out of you and make you like black men. It's like, I'm not a fan of blonde women, and he'd be like, I can make you like blonde women. I mean, it's kind of creepy. And then he's acting like, why are white guys offended? It's like, well, typically gay guys don't like being told who they're supposed to have sex with. They don't like being told that. But let's just jump into the article. And it's laughable, and most people disagree with this article, even in the comments section, to the credit of the commenters on Huffington Post. Nobody's really giving this article a pass. I think it's kind of racist, and the argument is illogical, to say the least. Dear gay white men, before I begin, I want you to understand that I'm not calling all of you racist. I've never been one to throw that word around casually, and even though I'm sure there are some of you that would fit like a glove, I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to you. Now, before we get into this, he calls people racist throughout this whole article, so I don't know how he says I'm not one to throw that out there. You throw it out throughout this whole article, so that's just not true. You're clearly somebody that throws that word out there. Way too much. The cisgendered white gay men out there who hold no ill will towards minorities, especially black and brown ones, but somehow have never found themselves in bed with one. You're good guys. I know this to be true. You mean well when it comes to race relations, but as a white man in the world, you must admit, you have no clue what it means to be racially discriminated against. As a result, there are often times when you don't recognize when your behavior towards people of color veers into problematic territory. Oh, there's that word, problematic, our Lacey Green one. Problematic. Love that word. It means nothing. They only use problematic to describe some abstract issue. They're like, you're contributing to something that's problematic. It's like, could you explain it a little better than something that's kind of based in social science and your pseudopsychology? As a black man within the gay community, I recognize that shit all the time, and I have a few points I'd like to discuss with you. I'm not here to judge you, even though he does throughout the whole article. There's only one capital H-I-M, and it's not me. But you may want to take my words to heart if you'd like to live up to those progressive memes you share on Facebook all the time. Let's start with the epicenter of your problematic behaviors towards my kind. My kind. So he's referring to black people as my kind. He's talking specifically to gay white men. And he's talking about cisgendered. This is pretty weird. It's like, oh, thank you for labeling people and writing this article for only one group of people because you clearly see skin color. And you get affected by it, by how people treat you. Oh, a white guy won't date me. Must be a racist. Your dating app profile. I know it could be hard to find the right words while expressing your preferences when it comes to what you're looking for in a partner. Whether you're looking for Mr. Right or Mr. Yeah Daddy right there. Oh, what great journalism. But I can't help but notice that a lot of you get lost, like really lost, when it comes to stating your preferences properly. Yeah, you have to write the preferences the way I want you to. To be clear, you're allowed to describe the kind of guy you're looking for and the things that turn you on, but specifying the race of your desired partner is a line that is not to be crossed. It comes off as racist, and that's because it is. Okay, so just before this person said, let's see, I've never been one to throw that word around casually. Okay, and then in the next paragraph, let's see, if your desired partner is in line that is not to be crossed, it comes off as racist, and that's because it is. Huh. So you're not one to throw that one around casually, and then you throw it around in the context of people's dating app profiles. Seems pretty casual to me. I mean, I could be wrong, but that seems rather casual. Like you're just throwing it out there. But maybe I'm wrong, unless you can read those people's minds and you know they're racist. I should point out that I've had this conversation with more than a couple of white gays in person. Oh wow, I'm glad you've had a conversation with a couple of white gays in person. Do you know how insane that comes off you writing that? It's like, so my black friends, I had some conversations with them, and they said I wasn't racist, so I can say whatever I want. It's like, that's not an argument. And here's where the debate usually begins. So I'm going to assume that you're rolling your eyes at me about now. Yeah, that's fine. And to make you feel more heard, I'll even repeat the most common point used to counter my argument. But people like what they like. Can't change that. I've heard that excuse. Or some iteration of it. Yeah, it's an excuse to like what you like. Used many times. Yeah, I've heard that excuse too for gay people when they say they're gay and someone's like, no, you're not. You're not gay at all. You can just be whatever you can be straight, you'll learn. Almost as if it's a magic phrase that just kind of ends the conversation and absolves you of your bullshit. It does. People have the right to have their preferences, and you don't get to tell them that they're racist or sexist or whatnot because of who they date. Is a gay guy sexist because he won't date a woman? No. And you would never say that. But there's a hierarchy of power. Okay, so let's keep going in. Okay, of your bullshit, which is hilarious. This person writing complete bullshit. I'll put aside the fact that broadcasting your distaste for an entire race or multiple races in the year in 2017 is really dumb, in addition to being racist as fuck. Once again, there's somebody throwing out racist casually, and just challenge the reasoning here head on. Yes, people like what they like, but sometimes the things people like are racist. Like lawn jockeys or the current president of the United States. Oh, wow, clever. Trump burn. Good one. Even though there's been no proof that he's racist at all. Good job. You can't say you prefer one race of people as romantic partners or anything really to another because all the people who belong to one race are not the same. No matter how you slice it, it's racist. I mean, I guess being racist is saying that someone's inferior to another group. So if you do think black men, black women aren't sexually as attractive as white men or white women, but we're talking about gay people here, so let's say men, white men, Hispanic men. I mean, technically, yes, it could be considered racist, I suppose, but at the same time, somebody can't control their penis. If they're not getting that sexual fling from someone of that race, and they're not saying anything negative towards that person, and they're making it very clear up front that who they want to date, there's nothing really wrong with it. And I think there's a lot of gray area there because I don't know, if somebody's never really saw a black guy or an Asian guy they liked and they don't think they like it, they can put in there, well, hey, I don't really want to date a black guy. Or maybe they had a bad experience and they don't want to go back there. It's not really... It's just kind of silly because you're basically trying to say that skin color is the determining factor to why they don't like black people or Asian people or all these things. And and it might be part of that, but maybe somebody doesn't like the black skin as much as they like the white skin. Maybe they're really sexually attracted to white skin, to pale skin, not even tan white skin. You know, I mean, there's plenty of white girls I've known in my life. They're friends that only dated black men and were really only attracted to black men, and I didn't think they were racist because they only liked black men. They liked black men. That's who they wanted to be with. You're ignoring that people do look different. And there's different cultures, and there's different races, and those things tie into sex. Now, he's going to say it's because of our European background that we have a racial bias. It's like, oh my god. Yeah, because there's not a bunch of white women sleeping with black guys. And for some reason, he thinks that all white gay men aren't sleeping with black gay men because of his very limited experience with this. I hear about this shit all the time. What great evidence you're providing. But what if a black and Asian men choose to only date other black and Asian men? Isn't that racist too? No. And you tried it. Okay, so this is hilarious. So if black and Asian men do the same, they're not racist. So here's his argument for that. Look, all men are created equal, but all men are not valued equally, especially in this country. Every black and Asian man who grew up on this planet grew up surrounded by positive images of whiteness and white men. Actually, that's not entirely true. If you live in Asian countries, even though they embrace American cinema, let's say China, Japan, and all that, and Korea, they actually have their own cinema and television and culture that's very prominent. And they're pretty racist in a lot of those Asian countries. I'm not saying as an insult, but they're pretty literally xenophobic. They don't like immigration and people coming over to their countries. They keep it predominantly Asian, and they have their own culture and fan and things they're fans of. And they grow up with heroic characters from their culture all the time. So that's actually not true. They may see white people and see them as heroic figures, but you're acting like that's the only person they see. If you grew up in Japan, you're not only seeing white heroic figures. That's a very limited view of culture and art. You do know that Asian cinema is a huge market. China's like the biggest film market in the world right now. They've had several films come out that have made hundreds of millions of dollars from China with Chinese actors. Do you think the young Chinese kids who go see those movies don't see those actors? Like, just think about this for 5 minutes. You could have done a Google search and answered this question. In fact, in a lot of those Asian countries, films with black leads don't do well. Like in China, movies with black leads don't do nearly as well most of the time as films with Asians or white leads. So Asians aren't racist only because they're gay now. And also, can we bring up that Asians do better academically and economically in the States than white people? Especially for the percentages of the population they are. So they don't suffer this systemic thing that he's talking about. Actually, the Asian people do better on average than white men in this country. So basically, an Asian man refusing to date a white guy, he's the most racist out of the three if we're going by this guy's logic. Now, he's trying to argue racism from a social science standpoint, where we have the white privilege and you can only be racist if you benefit from it. But we all know actual racism is just thinking someone's inferior. Now, if his logic is, if you don't want to date black men as a white man, you're racist, we can go with that. But it shows you this is the kind of person this is, the hypocrisy. They have to change the logic they're going by in the whole race thing and use racism to fit their narrative, their social science version of racism, because it's the only way this argument could work. Because he's like, well, no, black men and Asian men can't be racist. only white gay men can. Only white gay men can. That's not only racist for you to write, it's offensive towards gay men and white men. But you don't seem to care about that. You seem like you're complaining about some white guy that wouldn't date you. And I don't want to assume that, I'm not saying that, but this comes off like a bitter article written by an ex-girlfriend that's pissed. And she keeps writing about you on social media. Basically Thunderfoot with Sargon right now. Okay, so this is great. Positive images of whiteness. Therefore, our desire to date within our own race when we choose to is not rooted in any assertion made by society that we're better than anyone else. Okay, so you said on the planet. This person did not say Asian men in this country. He said especially in this country. But he said all over the planet, okay, of whiteness. So he's saying that Asian men all over the planet don't live in any kind of system or society that makes them think they're better than other races. That's not true. That is not true in Japan at all. That is just not true. That is fundamentally a wrong statement. You are wrong objectively on that. I know this is a lot to digest, so I'll just boil it down to this. Well, I hate to tell you this, it's not hard to digest. You're just speaking nonsense. You've already made a contradiction about you throwing racist out there casually. You clearly don't know anything about Asian countries, like at all. I don't know if you know anything about them. I mean, it's weird. It's like you've never read about anywhere else except the States, and you've only read a few books on the States. Anyway, let's see his simplified version of this, right? If your preference for a partner supports an existing racial hierarchy, it has to be a racial hierarchy, which marginalizes minorities, then your preferences are racist. So your preferences are only racist if there's an existing racial hierarchy. It's not racist if you're just biased or bigoted or whatnot. Okay, so this is a good way to only call white gay men racist and just give a pass to black men and Asian men who don't date outside of the race. Isn't that convenient? Isn't that nice that this black gay man writing this article found a way to take any criticism off himself and only put it on white men that won't date him? It's pretty cute, isn't it? And yes, that includes you rice queens and chocolate chasers too. Fetishizing me is not a compliment. It's propping up harmful sexual stereotypes, and it too is racist. I've heard this before too. Whenever I bring up that a lot of white girls sleep with black guys, and what they think they're up with black dick, and they like the a black guy's ass and stuff. And I've heard these things, and they'll say, no, that's fetishism, that they want to fetishize my blackness. I go, oh, I hate to tell you, everything sexual is a fetish. Like, people have fetishes. Some people like butts, some people like boobs, some people like feet, some people like the neck, some people like ears, some people like noses, some people like the eyes. There's fetish porn. Fetish is literally anything. Fetish is it's just a sexual preference. So fetishizing black women, like if you're a white guy and you prefer black women to white women, or you prefer Latino women, like I do. I actually think Latino women are much more attractive than a lot of other women. That's not racist. That's literally you finding one thing, perhaps the darker skin or what have you, sexier for you. It's what turns you on. I like chicks with tattoos and piercings. Most people don't like chicks with tattoos. Well, not most people, but a lot of people don't. I do. It sexually turns me on. I can't control what sexually turns me on. What makes my penis work is what it is. But according to this guy, all these guys are racist out there because they won't date a black guy. And it's playing into this systemic racism, and they're not somebody that understands discrimination. And people who defend this article saying you're taking the article out of context, it's like, no, this article's pretty straightforward. It's clear who he's attacking and who he's leaving out, and it's pretty clear to me the reasons why. As I've said before, I've had this conversation many times, so I know what comes next. Wow, you're so smart. You're saying to yourself, damn, if I don't go for men of color, I'm racist. If I do, I'm racist. Well, yes, if you're making any of your dating decisions with a person's race in mind, that's racist. Actually, you've been writing this whole article with a race in mind, a specific one that you've attacked and left other ones out. So you're the racist by your own logic here. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you have to find all black and Asian men attractive. I sure as hell don't. What I'm saying is that men of color are still men, and as such, we want people making decisions about our desirability to make them based on who and what we are, and that doesn't begin and end with a few layers of melanin. I mean, that's true. That is true, but once again, this sounds like a conversion therapy argument. It's like, well, your sexual preferences and what you like on the outside, genitalia or all that. And I'm sorry, I think a skin color very similar to like liking women or men or penises or vagina. It's like, well, it doesn't really matter. That makes you racist. You're really racist because you don't want to. It's like, I don't really agree with that. I don't think you have much to back up. They try to use this the mere exposure effect, right? So it's a social science theory. Of course, because all they ever can use is sociology whenever they try to back this stuff. It's all they ever use. They come out and they're like, here's my proof. And it's like, all right, show me the statistics, show me the numbers, show me proof of this. I need some evidence. Sociology. Always. Always fucking sociology. It's like, oh my god, stop it. Please. Fine, I'm a horrible racist asshole. What do I do about it? I can't reprogram myself to find men of color more attractive. Some of you might be saying, actually you can. Huh. This really sounds like conversion therapy. As you know, the brain is the largest sexual organ in your body, and it's capable of amazing growth. Oh, so if you just change your brain, you can fuck whoever you want. This is exactly what Bill Nye was saying on his show, and people didn't understand that. On Bill Nye's show with the ice cream sketch and what he was saying about the brain, basically he was saying sexuality is a complex spectrum. There's no gay gene, which there isn't. So the argument on that was that it's a spectrum and you can change it. You identify as what you were born as, a cis male and stuff, but they're trying to imply this new science with sociology and what they're finding out with these scans is they're trying to say that legitimately they're saying that you can just change your sexual preference. You could be a gay guy and go straight. You can not like this and like that. You can change all your biases and these things that are tied into your biology, your genetics, the evolution, your background, and your family. You could change all of those things just magically if you fight it, and you can change who you are. That's what they're saying. Now, we know that's not true. That's not how things work. The world doesn't work that way. You can't just make people get turned on by something else. But according to this writer, you can. This is like some Nazi crap, man. I mean, legitimately, this is like some, the gene pool needs to be cleaned and fixed type stuff. I know how to fix it. I know how to make the perfect human being. It's so weird. Like, this person writing this article almost has no idea how bad this comes off. Okay, so they're saying you can change your brain. Think of it as learning a new language. Better still, think of it as unlearning a racist one. Oh, that's really cool. Think of it as learning. It's just like learning a new language. Huh? In social psychology, there's the theory. Simply put, the more we are exposed to someone, the more attractive they become to us. See? See, I don't necessarily agree with that effect or that theory either, because I've hung out with plenty of people for a long period of time, and they definitely did not become more attractive to me hanging out with them. And that's just, I could just tell you proof for myself. I've hung out with people countless times that I didn't become more attracted to them. You might like them more as a person to hang out with, but that's a really, really bad scientific argument. Using social psychology, and then your proof is, see, it can just happen to everyone. It's like, well, they kind of just say, and it's a theory too. It's not really absolute science. And I looked into this, and it's like, this is really kind of debated. You're acting like it's, and then they say it's well documented. A lot of people say it's well documented research that everyone has a cognitive bias towards race. It's like, well, that really doesn't make you racist then. A cognitive bias is simply just a bias. That doesn't mean your bias is affected by racism. They're trying to say it's because of Eastern, the European culture of white people being superior, and that's why you like them and stuff like that. But if that were true, then there wouldn't be so many white people and black people dating in high numbers like there is. This really just seems like someone's trying to use pseudo science to make an argument that they don't have, because they don't actually have research or know anything. To also show this person didn't want to do any research on Asians or statistics or around the world. They just wanted to use blanket statements to try and make their point that there's all these gay, racist white guys out there. But yeah, sorry, your argument doesn't hold up. You're like, see, I got you. Sorry, bro. That means absolutely nothing. I can prove that wrong scientifically, because I've spent time with people and not found them more attractive. Boom, wrong. One person got you wrong. There you go. Your theory's bullshit. What? You're only one person. We need a bigger sample size. Yeah, like they had a gigantic sample size too. Like they just had everyone in the world. So there's hope for you after all. See, you can change your preferences. I can make you want to have sex with me. You could decide how to best expose yourself however you want, but please, for the good of us people of color who have to share this community with you, get to work. So, not only have the black people taken the LGBT flag, which already represented black people, and put the shit color and the stuff on there, now they're saying that you have to start fucking us black men or you're all racist. Because we're in your community, yeah. We're not just the gay community. There's separate parts of this community. There's the black version and the white version. As gay men of color, we get more than enough discrimination from the rest of the world. We don't need the friendly fire from you. Well, you just attacked an entire race of gay men on here are very uncomfortable to talk to black gay men, because they're going to assume that they're thinking they're racist. You've shown a complete lack of understanding and an utter ignorance towards Asians and Asian culture. You provided no statistics, evidence to back up your claims about this bias. You just said dating app profiles. This is more like a blog post. I know it's an open letter, but this comes off like a blog post on Tumblr than it does an article that should be posted on Huffington Post. Although Huffington Post is awful, but this is one of the worst things they've written. I don't know how this got past an editor. This reminds me of this Odyssey article I might look at here soon, but there's an analogous here. They're very comparable, and we'll wrap it up here. But this article was really funny because it's the same thing. It's a trans person writing an article about how I don't have to tell you I'm trans before dating you and all that. And their whole argument is systemic issues, white superiority, cisgender superiority. So I can lie to you and not tell you the truth that I used to be a man or a woman before conversion, because I am a man or woman now, and for you to not have sex with me is transphobic. And that's basically the gist of the article. And look, it sounds so similar. As a trans person, I run into this attitude all the time. I constantly hear cis people ragging about a trans person is lying. So it's the same argument the HuffPost article made. And the justification of transphobic oppression is often that transness is inherently disgusting. I mean, it's the same argument. It's a sociology argument. It's poorly thought out, it's logically inconsistent, and it's only based in emotion and moral grandizing and not logic and reasoning. And I'm not using those words to make myself sound superior. These are legitimately illogical arguments because you can go through them and there's just too many inconsistencies. I don't mind the attempt at the point you're trying to make. It's okay, you can argue for what you're trying to say. It's the way they execute these arguments that is my problem, because they don't really hold up to scrutiny, and they are offensive, and they are bigoted, and they are closed-minded, and they have tunnel vision, and it comes off like bitter people that are upset The writer of this article comes off like somebody that's very upset that somebody wouldn't date them as a trans person, and this article comes off like someone who's very upset that a white guy wouldn't date them. This is emotion overtaking important issues, and they're using their own emotional issues and themselves. And this is the SJW tactic, basically. Make everything about me, but try to give it a political leaning or some background to make an excuse that it's society's fault and I'm making a point. But really, I'm just complaining. And instead of writing a status on Facebook bitching about it, you have to write some bullshit article and try to back up your insanity. Well, luckily there's people out here like me to call you out for it. So anyway, like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me your opinion in the comments section, and I'll see you guys next time.